Lunka was talking about this morning, I just heard it. He taught that the world is empty. The Lord Buddha taught Moggallana that all the world is empty. But one can say it's empty of self, or what's the meaning of emptiness? When we open our eyes, when we open our ears to hear sound and we see things, and that's why the world is not empty. We see these things, we hear these things, we have memories of all these, and we feel attached, or we feel sort of loathsome. But what do we see? We see forms and colors. What do we hear? We hear sound. And what do we make out of it? It's the universe that we live in. Now we have trained computers to see, and we have trained computers to hear. We have been trained computers to recognize what they see and to recognize what they hear. It's not yet perfected, but it's at a certain level. At a level that is quite useful to help us with our task. When the computers, let's use the term sees, then he can distinguish with his input senses more colors than we can. What we see as white, he can distinguish forms within this whiteness. When he sees dark, he can distinguish forms within this darkness. When he hears, he can hear in frequencies that we can't hear, or where we don't get any meaning. So maybe if we're going to develop these computers even further and further, then they're going to see the devas in the deva realm, and the ghosts in the ghost realm, and the hell beings in the hell realm. Because they're all in the spectrum. But of course we wouldn't know. A computer needs to be taught that what he sees, the meaning of what he sees. Because the human beings do not know it or lost it, so it's difficult for them to teach. But anyway, let's go take this example because it's a good example, or at least it's an example where I can make a point. So let's train the computer to hear, and let's train the computer to see all the things that we are not able to see. And in the end, give him all the abilities that we do have. Well, then when he sees a can of Coke, then he sees the can of Coke. When he sees a rotting animal, then he sees a rotting animal. But the difference between the computer and us is, when he sees it, he just knows what it is, and we also see and know what it is, but we have either attachment towards it, we have a longing for it, or we have a loathsomeness for it. This is a difference. The computer just sees things as they are, or hears things as they are. He's neither attached to this, or is he attached to the other. So it's our wanting for the things that we see or we hear, or our dislikes of the things that we see and we hear. That makes a difference. If you just see in line, you know what is there, or hear in line what is there wouldn't be any trouble, any problem with the world. And now let's go down to the basics. How does the computer differentiate? He sees colors, and he hears sound. He can distinguish between a great variety of colors. Our eye can, I think it's about 64 million colors. He can distinguish between more colors. As much as we give him the resources for. But in the end, it is, when we look at the colors, it's differentiated in red, green and blue. The red normally has 8 different levels or 8 different lamps. If all the lamps are off, then it's dark. If all the lamps are on, then it's green or red or blue. And if all the red and green and blue lamps are on, then it's white. What I want to say is it's either on or it's off. That's all what the computer can. If we give the computer the facility to reflect upon itself, when he investigates, and now let's go back to our topic of investigation of the 5 khandhas, when he investigates, all what he sees is on and off. When we investigate in line with the nature, then all what we see is the 4 elements. Either fire element, earth element, air element, water element. So when the computer looks and investigates where all this fascinating stuff is coming from, then he comes down and sees a lot of transistors. One transistor is on, one transistor is off. Another is on, another is off. This pattern means coke, this pattern means a house, this pattern means this pattern means that. If you don't teach him, he doesn't know. He just sees on and off. And when we do our investigation in line with the truth, we just see the 4 elements. When we investigate the body and boil it down to what it consists of, the 4 elements, then we just see the 4 elements. And every organ has gone, the hair has gone, the hair has turned into 4 elements, the body has turned into the 4 elements, all the organs have turned into the 4 elements. So what is that? Do you understand what I mean? Do you understand what I point to? Only the combination of the differences of the 4 elements makes the thing that we see. It makes the body as you see the body. It's like with a computer, he sees a pattern, and as long as he doesn't know what to do with the pattern, he doesn't know. If you teach him, that this is the column of a house, or this is the roof of a house, or this is this, or this is that, then he remembers. So when we investigate with the 4 dhatus, or the 4 elements, when we boil everything down into the 4 elements, not only the body but also the feeling, also thinking, and consciousness, and memory and association. When we look just at this nature of the 4 elements, then we have to say the world is empty. At that stage of investigation, we see that the world is empty. It has nothing. But the moment we take one pattern or another pattern or another pattern and give it a different meaning, the whole world comes back into our vision, or in our sight, or in our ear. So when you investigate in line with the truth, investigate in line with the 4 elements. And see until you can break it down into the 4 elements. When you are in the state that everything turned into the 4 elements, you can say the world is empty. Empty of meaning, empty of objects, empty of sound, empty of everything. All what there is there. When we go back to the example of the computer, it's just this transistor on and that transistor on. This transistor is off and that transistor. It's just pattern. We grab at this pattern. When we look at our life, we grab at these patterns and give it a meaning. That person or that being gives it this meaning, and that person gives it that meaning. This pattern, there are 2 persons, have the same word for different patterns. That's where they get in conflict. That's where misunderstanding, miscommunication arise. So don't let's forget that it's all made out of this pattern that we give meaning to. But it's not so easy. Our world is very complicated. That's why I use this computer. When we look at it, it's the basic form. It's just transistors. On and on, on and on, on and on. Just a different combination, and the timeline is that the computer is some fascinating toy or tool, whatever. If it's a tool, it's good. It helps our work. If our body would be just a tool and not a playground, then this would be a tool for going to the end of Nibbana. And that's all what a practitioner should think of his body and his 4 nama khandha. A tool to go to the end of suffering. Now with these patterns, whenever you look at something like a carpet or like an area of wood, or when you're in a cave at the stone, at the different formation of the stone, you will notice that you will find a form. A form that has some meaning for it. Has some meaning for you. When you look at the carpet, after a while you see some of the forms arising. And the interesting thing, once you see the form and once you recognize it, whenever you look back at it, and I advise just to go, when you go back to Yukuti, to do it. Look at a large area of the same material and see some form. You will see it. When you come back, you will see it. The more often you see it, you always see it. But it has not been there before. You create it. our mind created this form out of the different colors in this material. This is an example that should show you how the mind creates these forms that it lets on. And if you have seen this form, if you have taken this example and seen this form for a few days, whenever you look in this direction you will see. And it's actually difficult to get rid of. Take this example and see how the mind latches to its own creation. Because before we were clear, that was just wood, or that was just some fabrics, or that was even stones, or that was sand, and we didn't see anything. But when we stare long enough, we will see a form arising up, and we latch onto this. This shows us the process of our mind. And then, when we understand how it latches on this, we might conclude how it latches onto the other things that we are so attached to. So break them down. If this is the way the mind creates these forms, then whatever we have within our mind, it must be a creation similar to that. So break it down in its basic form. If it's something seen, break it down into its color, in its different colors. Or break it down into the four elements. The mind is so tricky. And when we take this example again, just for three days or 4 days, we've seen this pattern or this figure within the wood or in the fabrics or wherever, or in the sand or in the stone. It's difficult yet for us to get it out of our mind. It's difficult to erase it. Whenever we look at that, it will stick up, it comes up. Now think about things that we have been training from the first day we opened our eyes and from the first day we opened our ears. From the day of our birth, and if we go even more backward, from the start of our samsara. Now the things that we have seen over and over and over again, of course, stick. They stick. And they stick. So we have to break them up. We really have to break them up and see that the sight as color and form, and the hearing is sound. And that means get out the association, get out the memory, get out the recognition process, and just stay with form or color or sound. The recognition factor, or its sanya, makes the meaning. Our language, each word has a meaning. And you know how many words we have within our language, and how eagerly we create new words, new concepts, new ideas. And that's there. We latch onto them and we get fooled. We really think that they are there. We really do it. We really believe it. We don't see it. That's just a creation of our own mind, or a creation of our heart. So when you just see this small example, and then look at your life, and whatever comes into your mind during meditation, be it Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vijnana, see what kind of meaning is in that. What do you associate with? Where's the place? Whenever you come in contact with the Rupa or with the body, break it down into the four elements. When you come in contact with Sanya, break it down in the four elements. Break it down into this basic pattern. Or break it down into this basic pattern. And the meaning will go. And when the meaning goes, our attachment goes. In the end, there is nothing to long for, and there is nothing to be disgusted by. The things that we are believe, the stronger we believe, these are the things that we should examine first. Break them down. What does it really mean? What does it mean? What does body mean? What does sickness mean? Break it down in the elements. At the level of the four elements, there are just the four elements. Or go into the deep state of samadhi until everything disappears. How could everything disappear if these things were so real as they are? How can our body disappear? How can the whole world disappear? If the things are so real as they are. Or haven't we just only created them? We have created them, and we have created with the creation of them, we are attached to them. Some other people created them, then we might loathe them. Or we get disgusted. The things that are stuck in the mind, the things that we think are our hindrances, we can boil them down. We can break them apart until there is no meaning. Be it movement, being it activities, we can break down the activity of sweeping. First we break it down in just movement of the arms, or movement of the legs, or movement of the body. And we break it down in the movement of the body. Where is the sweep? It's just a set, it's just a pattern of movement. When we wash our cloth, it's the same thing. The moment we break it down into the movement, then it's just movement. Then the meaning of washing cloth is irrelevant. It's moving the arm, it's moving the leg, it's moving the hand, it's moving this muscle, that muscle, and so on. And so on. It's just movement of the body. But we give it meaning in saying this is washing the cloth, this is walking, this is sweeping, this is eating, this is this, and this is that. This we like, this we do not like. When we just boil it down to the movements of the body, it just doesn't make any meaning at all. It's just movement. When we walk, it's a movement. It's a pattern of movement. Pattern of using this kind of muscles or that kind of muscles. When we sweep, it's the same thing. It's a pattern of movement. It's a pattern of this and it's a pattern of that. And the meaning goes, and our attachment or our hate goes. Because it can only come with a meaning, with the recognition that this is something that we like to do. Like washing our body, we might like to do it. Other people hate to do it. It depends. This is sweeping, we like to do it or we hate to do it. This is walking, we like to do it or we hate to do it. This is sitting, we like to do it or we hate to do it. But it's just, when we break it down, movement of the different muscles. If we move this muscle or that muscle, so what is better? There is no attachment. To break it down. Don't get fooled. Don't get fooled by the concepts we created about these things. And the concepts, we give a like or a dislike. The beliefs we have, we give a like or dislike. The stronger our belief is, the stronger it will lead us. We avoid the things that we do not like and go to the things that we like. Isn't it interesting? When we look at this in this way, things lose their meaning. They lose completely their meaning. And the work we used to hate, just becomes a pattern of movement. So, where's the problem then? There's no problem. The moment we put something, a meaning on it that we like this movement. The moment we put a meaning on it that we dislike this pattern. The same thing, we teach. Like you teach a computer that he does this or that. Or that when he sees this, that he should call it this, and when he sees that he should call it that. But the computer doesn't know what he sees, he doesn't understand what he sees, and he has no attachment to it. We are the ones who have the problems because we have attachment to all this. So one way or another, we have to break it down. We can break it down into, when we investigate the body, we can break it down into the 4 elements. When we have certain activities, we can break it down into the movements of the body, or we can break it down in the movement of the mind. When we sit and we are mindful and we break whatever appears to us down in the 5 khandhas. When the Rupa appears, then we say Rupa. When the Vedana appears, then we say Vedana. When Sanya appears, then we say Sanya. When Sankhara appears, then we say Sankhara. And when Vijnana appears, then Vijnana. If you're really mindful and, just put the things where they belong to, there's no problem. There's no problem at all. But the moment we say, this kind of thought we like or this kind of thought we dislike, we have a problem. But when we say a thought is a thought, okay. The body is the body, okay. No problem. No attachment. The moment we say this kind of body we like, this kind of body we dislike. This kind of thought we like, this kind of thought we dislike. This kind of memory we like, this kind of memory we dislike. Memory is just memory, body is just body, feeling is feeling, thinking is thinking, consciousness is consciousness. So put out the meaning of all of it. Put it out. Break it down until there's no meaning. And then our heart becomes very quiet, untroubled and calm. And he just learns to see the things how they really are. The more we believe something, the more we have trouble with it. If we developed our views for a long time, then they are most troublesome. And the most difficult thing to break down. Yes, this is so. We believe it, and that's what it is. And we never dare to investigate. Is it really the way we think it is? Is it really the way we think it is? We say this is karma. Is it really karma? What does karma mean? And what boils it down to for the moment? If we break it down at that moment, what is it? Today is today, tomorrow is tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow is the day after tomorrow. Knowing in line with the knowing of the world is knowing things as constant. Knowing in line with the line of the truth is knowing only for this very moment that we know. Things are changing. Tomorrow we know in a different way. Because the things are all changing, so our knowing has to change also. But in the world, of course, our knowledge is not going to change, or changes only slowly. It groups together similar things as one thing. And that's where our problems are. Just know now in line with the knowing, and that is most satisfying. If it has no meaning, then we are mostly afraid of it, because we call it not knowing. But when we stay with this not knowingness within our heart, we will know. But we will know in a different context. And that context of knowing is most gratifying, most satisfying, most calm to the heart. We believe, we want to believe, we do not believe, and we want to not to believe. Now when we go on this path of practice, once in a while, if we have practiced for a while, maybe 3 months, 6 months, a year, or 10 years, within a while we have to re-examine all the things again. Because some of the wrong views have gathered into our mind and have built obstacles. So if we think we are going the holy path and everything on the holy path is fine, then we are doomed. Because views, concepts and things are going to be created. Just by the path of practice we are going, we build new concepts, we build new beliefs, It is new understanding that will block our way. Understanding and knowledge are stones in the baggage of the traveler up to Nibbana. Why do we have to acquire the knowledge? It's just a big stone in our baggage. If we can know just in that moment, that is most satisfying, most gratifying. Why do we need to keep that knowledge and put it in the bag? That knowledge, in the next moment, it has gone and changed to a different kind of knowledge. What a waste and what a burden on our mind. So what I said before, when we go, and that's what happens, and what I can see it in a lot of people who practice this path, that they build some beliefs and some views that are actually going to be big hindrance on their path. If they do not re-examine everything, what they believe, what they do not believe, what they trust into, what they know of, re-examine everything. And the thing they do not examine is the danger. That's where avijja is playing in the dark. So whatever we do not examine, and when we say examine, it's shining the light into the dark. If we do not examine it, that means it's a dark space. And that's what we have to examine. Otherwise, avijja will build its nest, in the beginning just this nest, and then builds it up to a big form. And it can be just a view, it can be just a belief, it can be just knowledge, it can be this or it can be that. Nothing is stated. And now the Lord Buddha said, all phenomena in this world of existence, or in this universe of existence, are anicca, anatta, dukkha, are changing constantly. Changing constantly. But our beliefs and our views are not changing. We think we understand one thing, and that's it. This understanding will not change. And that's where we are wrong. And that's what makes our path to Nibbana different. We leave it, we take up the knowledge, and we just go. Once in a while, we really have to examine it. Whatever we believe, and wherever we see there's a belief, just check it out. Wherever we see there's a knowledge, what's the use of the knowledge at the time where we built the knowledge that was true, and now, is it still true? No. The knowledge also is true. Go in line, anicca, impermanence. Things are rising constantly. Things are staying or building up, and then the moment they build up, the moment they go down. It's like a wave. In a wave there is no constant. There's no constant. It's changing all the time. So, why do we not apply this to our practice? We think our beliefs and our views and our things, our knowledge are constant. That would be in contrary to the law of anicca, to the law of impermanence. Anicca, anatta, dukkha, are the three doors or the three gateways to Nibbana. One person is going the way of anatta, that means not self. Some people are going the way of dukkha, that means discontent, irritation, restlessness, suffering. And some people going the, what did I forget? Impermanence. Yes. So think about this carefully. Think about this very carefully. And the longer you have gone and the longer you have done practice, the more likely it is that there are some wrong views you have developed that hinder you on your spiritual. There are some wrong understanding that you have developed, or there are some wrong knowledge that you cling on. We are so afraid of throwing our knowledge away. We are so afraid of throwing our beliefs away. We are so afraid of throwing our views away. Because we have the feeling we jump down into a black hole where we don't know. But if we become familiar with this fear of not knowing, then this is the absolutely sphere of happiness, of contentment, and calm. And the one who is so afraid of course, is the master of all of them. It's avijja. He's so afraid of not knowing. So yes, whatever he sees, whatever he hears, whatever he sends, he has to make meaning. He wants to understand. So he is afraid of not knowing, of not understanding, having no meaning. When we see that, or when we hear that, then fear is nothing than one of the fangs of avijja. Fear, pain, doubt, all these things. Now that we come to avijja, it's a good place to start. Just remember the example. With, seeing something in a pattern of material, in wood or in a carpet or in some fabric. See it and see how the mind creates and latches on it. And if you see it for 2 or 3 days, then it's difficult to get rid of this image. And now imagine, that's 3 days. Now imagine your life, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, that you've seen the same thing. How difficult is it to get rid of it? So break it down into the 4 elements, break it down when it's, break it down in the movement, or break it down in the 5 khandhas. And the meaning, if you break it down correctly, the meaning itself goes away. And there's just content. And in the end, if you break it, 3,000 different programs. So you have to switch off one of the programs to know what one program is doing, or then the other program is doing, until you go to the really basic level where they just open the gate or close it. There are programs like that, they are called the facts. And if we can go down, if our mindfulness is good enough, we have to go down to the assembler language. Assembler means assembling something. So where we assemble the pictures and where we assemble our sight and our hearing, then we will understand. Just opening the gate of it. If I put here, a lot of lights, and create different patterns, you will see the things that you are used to. But it's just an illusion. It's not real. I just switch off this light and that light. And your attachment or your taste is going immediately. Interesting.
I play like that exercise all the time. I play like that, looking at the sky or looking at the trees and then find figures in it. Yeah.
And you see it then. In the clouds you see it. And you see it in a long time.
Yeah.
But the clouds are changing, that's the difference.
Yeah.
So the figures are changing. That makes it more interesting. And we attach to it. You know, it when I was in that cave, you know, a cave is a great thing. I realized, you know, it became so obvious. It became so extremely obvious because there was nothing else, you know. If you look at, if you stare at a wall, you know, for 24 hours, you know, there's nothing else. And then you see how the mind starts to create out of this, you know, plainness of walls, the things that he likes to do.
There is a technique that he doesn't to go to a pitch dark, to go to complete dark, very, very dark, no anything to see, and you sit with open eyes, and then you see colorful pictures.
It's the same thing. Germany, you know, Germany in the evening is very quiet. When you're out there in the rural areas, in the night it's dead quiet.
Yeah.
It's really dead quiet. It's beautiful quiet. And when you see the mind wandering, or if you get the mind, you know, down to still, you can imagine a lot of things, even in the silence of it. But this is an example. That's how the world that we live in is great. It's not only, you know, it's not only a playing of. That's the same way the mind creates this whole world. It attaches to a pattern, to a certain pattern of the four elements, and it says this is this is that, and in the end it becomes this complicated. But it hasn't been from the beginning. We had to learn it. But I think we had enough time, you know, to learn, to create. And now, of course, we are fooled by it. We are fooled by this creation, or by our own creation. And that's why I gave you this example, to see how you're fooled by your own creation. It's a good example. Yes, what was that one? I don't remember. I think I went to. Did I cover it or didn't I cover it? Huh?
Attachment to family.
Yeah, it's called.
Dedicating merit.
Dedicating merit.
What is there like a? Is there a way, like a technique, or you just mentally repeat, I person?
Well, you can mentally repeat it, you know, dedicate it to this person, and it will have no meaning. The meaning comes from the heart. If you really wish that this person will take share in your merit, then, you know, however you express this wish, it will share. You're not just saying, oh, let all be, you know, share within my merit, you know, and that doesn't really mean anything to us, you know, then it's, you know, then it's hopeless, you know, it makes no sense. But if you really wish our mother or father, you know, to share in the merit that we have made, and really, you know, and that they, and even wish for them, you know, that they get out of the cycle of samsara, then it has a deep meaning. And then they can take part. So when we are with our parents or when we are with our loved ones, and we really want to know what they are, and want to get rid of all our concepts and views of how they are, and we stay at the level of the heart. And don't let the heart go on. We listen with the heart, and we see them. We really listen. And then the language, and then what they say, with the language, or with our language, is different, normally different with what they say with their heart. It can be completely different. So if you listen with our heart, you will understand. And you will be surprised if you answer to the question of their heart, they will be completely surprised. Positive. If you just answer their question that they had, in our language, no, that is wrong.
That's the thing that's very difficult. Talking, I don't know, with people out in the world, and they're talking very much on the surface, and somebody starts talking to you what in Buddhism is classified as useless speech, frivolous speech. What is your advice to how to deal with that? I mean, at the same time, you don't want to just walk away from the person, but at the same time, I don't know, you don't want to engage in this kind of frivolous...
Well, then listen with your heart. Well, if you can't, in the beginning, if you cannot listen with your heart, then repeat Buddha, 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 Buddha. That brings you down to the heart. And then you might understand what they really want. Either they want to show off, or they really have a problem, they need something. Or they just, they're just drunken people who just, indulge in. You will see for yourself. I cannot say, there are so many different varieties of what can happen, I cannot cover it. So when we see somebody, who is exceptionally close to us, then the best way for us is, if we trained our Buddha good enough, just to stay at the Buddha, until it really requires a reaction from us. And you will be surprised if you really are with your heart, how little reaction is required. Sometimes some people just need somebody to listen, or more. They don't even want to hear what you have to say, they just want to.
At the same time, I don't want to be accepting. Some people come to you just complaining this and all that.
Well, you take the complaining. You get the meaning out of the complaining. When you stay with your heart, whatever is said, just goes in and goes out. So the meaning of the language goes in and goes out. But whatever is in the heart, if somebody is really, and then you see somebody is really angry, or is so full of hate, then you just go away. Listen with the heart. Maybe, if you train this Buddha, or if you trained Anapanasati and can be mindful of the breath, while you're talking to, it's a completely different conversation. Completely different. There's nothing to do with whatever. When you start, and when you go to people that really very close, and you're going to see them in half an hour, just stay with the heart. Don't anticipate how they look like, or what they do, or what you shall say. Just stay with them. If you can do that, you will experience them in a completely different way. Of course, that is not true for people who have trained this way. They will just be this. But for people who have never trained it, they will see for the first time, it's completely different from whatever they thought or whatever they. But of course, we have to train. Well, like everything, we have to train. Basic skills that we have forgotten. The more we go into the computers, the more we go into the science, the more we lose our basic skills. We've done it for 2,000 years, and don't trust me for how much we are. Our relation, the family relation, or the warmth of the family, in our new modern, what we call civilized society. When you think about that, it's really uncivilized. The more it develops, the more it becomes uncivilized, or inhuman. In the beginning, when they waged the war, they, each person had to fight with a sword, or with a dagger, or with a spear, or whatever. So he had to put in his own life in it. Now you just press a button, and you can. That is what is called civilization. That is the highest. What are they calling it? Achievement of the human race. In terms of Dhamma, it's going down the pit. The more we advance in this way, the more we're going down the pit.
I'm from Malaysia, from Islam country. Muslims always complain about the Buddhists never learn from Islam, and they say Buddhists is actually they are escape away from the reality, and they are not pragmatism, and they are do not accumulate. They say what rolling, tumbling stone, getting no mud on it.
Let them say whatever they want to say. Let them say whatever they want to say, As long as you really have not developed the teaching within yourself, or the Dhamma within yourself, it's very difficult to answer. So just listen the way I said it. Just listen with your heart, and if you feel, they just want to attack you, just let it go in and go. Don't worry what other people say. Worry about what you think, and worry about what you say. That it is in line with the sila, that it is in line with morality, and what you think is in line with the sila and it's in line with the virtue. That's what you have to worry. If you worry about all the 5 or 6 billion of people that are on this planet, we will never time to correct ourselves. Because this person is doing this, and this person is saying that, and that person is saying that. And we have to worry all the time about this and that person. We never worry about the one who creates. So worry about yourself. Once all your worries and all your fears has gone, then it's a new era. And then you will know what to say. You will say that what is in line with the Dhamma. You will say that what is in line with the Dhamma. People attack you or not? It's the way of it. And there will always be people who are holding us up, and there will always people who will pulling us up. It doesn't matter. It can be an arahant, it can be any kind of person. The people love it. They put them on a high idol or high temper, and then after a while they are dissatisfied with it, just throw him into the pit. It's the same with Senator Mahabua or with any kind of. There are people, who put them highly up, and there are people who try to put him down or get rid of him. Even in as far as can. So, but he doesn't worry. Other people worry. But he himself does not. When a professional killer came about 30 years ago and fired his whole revolver with 6 shots on him, he didn't worry. But that time Sing Tong came, I heard some shots, you know. I don't see any holes.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know.
25, 22, he told us. I heard it before, and then I had the set of talks with me. I said, I never heard that. No? Some late people was telling me on the way up to church. And then just a few days later, as always, you know, if I haven't heard something, then I hear it. You know,
was it really the bullet targeted him?
Yes.
Really it was the shot?
Yes, it was a professional killer.
And what happened is,
He just, you know, he saw that all his shots had gone out, you know, and nothing has hit him, and then he paid his debt and asked for forgiveness. He was set out by people who didn't like him. They hired him. So it's just
what happens is the gun doesn't work actually.
it worked. You know, Ajahn Sing Tong heard the shot.
They missed him or they went
No, I don't know. They probably went through him without, you know, leaving any, but they didn't hit the wood. Or they just dispersed in the air. I don't know.
power of metta. Buddha says
Yes.
If you practice metta, no weapon can harm you, no poison.
Yes, and of course, you know, he has, at that time, you know, he was an arahant already for 20 years, you know. And all an arahant has is metta. So. Oh, you have... Sorry,
There must be many.
So now I mention the story because it always will be there. It's not a person, you know, arahant is not loved by all the people. He's hated by people and he's loved by people.
Even Buddha.
It's the same thing. Even the Lord Buddha, you know, his own cousin, you know, tried to get rid of him. Tried to kill him, I don't know how many times, 3 or 4 times. Well, that's why it's in hell for the next 150,000 years. He hasn't even managed to know.
How many Buddhas? 22 Buddhas or something until he can come out.
But he will become a Buddha, but a silent Buddha. Because he saw his fault before he died. So he asked for the forgiveness of the Lord. If he wouldn't have, you know, it would be, I don't know how many years he would pass in the hell realm. But anyway, when one thinks about 150,000 years, you know, for killing an arahant or for killing one's mother or one's father, it's a long time. 150,000 years. You know, when we look at our recorded history, it's just about 7 years.
150,000.
Thousand.
It's unlimited, I heard. It can be any duration. It can be very, very long, kappas.
No, well, that's what Tanatra Mahaprabhu was.
Still a long time anyway.
Well, you know, our recorded history is about 7,000 years. And if you think about our own life, you know, 50 years, how long that can be.